Hello YouTube, this is Necrofear331 with another video. Just wanted to kind of add another video onto the whole Banlist petition that has been floating around lately. I've been watching a lot of different perspectives on this video on YouTube. There's a lot of opinions on the entire situation of the petition that's going around on change.org, talking about the unethical abuse of the player base by Konami in regards particularly to the 2012 March ban list, which, if you haven't checked it, go ahead and check the official site. Just some, you go ahead and check it. I don't really need to go into details about it, but there's a lot of I guess anger about it. Some people are mad, some people are mad enough to sign this petition, some people aren't mad, some people think it's good. Basically I want to get what you guys think. How do you feel about the petition? Do you think it's going to do anything? Personally, I don't think the petition is going to do anything. I signed it, and I do believe that Konami has been abusing this game, but they've been doing it for years. I mean, I quit in 2006 because I hated Elemental Heroes and the whole GX series, and I was more into other things at the time, video games and whatnot, and Yu-Gi-Oh just kind of fell out of favor, and I just, it wasn't my thing anymore, so I quit, sold most of my cards. I came back in 2010. I think it was around January, and that was when the release of Absolute Power Force. I remember specifically it was Absolute Power Force because my roommate in college was he was a player, and he was talking about how he's going to start playing again because his favorite archetype, Gravekeepers, were getting new cards in Absolute Power Force. And so, I started looking up stuff, and I thought, well, you know what, maybe I'll give the game a try. And so I started playing back in Absolute Power Force, and boy, was I surprised. The power creep was something I never contemplated. I was building decks that would have been good maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, and trying to compete with the current top decks, and ooh, it was miserable. Oh man, Infernities were, oh man, they were so obnoxious, and this was right when I started getting my decks together was around the time Shining Darkness dropped, so it was like the X-Saber format, the Frog thing, and all that stuff. And wow, it was a culture shock. I didn't realize, synchros were as dominant. I barely knew what they were. I made some bad mistakes in regards to some of my cards. I remember selling like 5 of the best synchros. They were tin ones, but they're still like 5 of the best. It was Go Your Guardian, Black Rose, and stuff like that. I sold them all for $30. I didn't know what they were worth, and of course someone bought it in like 3 minutes of me posting it because I didn't realize the cards were, I didn't realize this. I was kind of naive, and basically the point of this video is I'm going to justify the list. I'm not going to justify the list. I'm going to justify the petition. I apologize. And I'm going to explain some of the reasons why the petition makes sense that the other Yugi-tubers that I've been watching have just been kind of retarded about. They think we're just whiny butthurt, players that can't deal with the meta, and that we want things given to us on a silver platter. That's not necessarily true, okay? For one, Konami made a very vital mistake, and that is making the barrier of entry for this game extremely difficult. Why? Look at how expensive this format is. Look at the price of cards like Maxi, Wind Up Zen Mines. And imagine you're a new player who wasn't able to get a hold of the Maxi when it was $15 or whatever, that all those stupid Yugi tubers tell us, it was $15, you should have got them then. Bullshit, whatever. If you're a new player coming into the game right now, you don't have Maxis, fucking retards. And then you're going to see them on eBay for $100 a piece. You're going to realize you need them in every deck because the meta is so shitty that you need to run that card in order to have a slight chance, and I mean very slight, chance of topping an event. You're going to say, fuck this, I'm playing Magic. Simple as that. No new players. Konami screwed themselves over. If they were planning on making a meta the way they did right now, where it was all about power plays on the first turn and extremely consistent decks that can win the game basically on the first turn, they should have reprinted Maxi first. They should have reprinted it. It should have been an Order of Chaos Special Edition instead of a Valor. I mean, Valor's good, but Valor is also fairly easy to get compared to Maxi. You know, Secret Rare, you know, there's 8 in a set that, you know, the rest is pretty much crap besides, you know, some Sam stuff. Versus a card that's an Ultra and a Rare. All I know it's a short print, but still in 2 sets. Versus a card that is a Secret Rare in 1 set. They totally fucked themselves over. So, in a way, by not reprinting at least Max C, at the very least Max C, new players are just going to not even bother with this format and with this game. And that's not including the extra deck, which got even more expensive. Every time we get one decent extra decks, you know, reprint, we get 5 more that we have to add to our decks. You know, the Brio reprint that's coming out, great. But you know what? Nobody's going to want to pay for the Zen Mines. Nobody's going to want to pay for the, you know, the Scrap Dragon and the Mistworm now, because, you know, Trishul is gone, and still Black Rose, for fucking Christ's sake, hasn't been reprinted yet. And it's one of the goddamn Signer Dragons. And, you know, and new players are just going to say no, and they're not even going to bother, because why would you bother? If you were just coming to this game and you saw the price of those cards, why would you bother? The price support in this game is terrible. It's awful. This game doesn't even give you cash rewards, and yet people somehow justify the retarded prices of these cards. I don't get it. I don't get it, okay? You know, I played competitively during the Chaos format, and it was fun, it was hard. It was a hard format because Chaos was the top deck, and if you're you know, not able to get a hold of that deck, which I didn't have, yeah, it was difficult, but the game was slower, and yeah, you could pull off a few decent wins out of nowhere. I mean, I played Warrior Toolbox at the time because it was the budget deck of the era. Anyways, um, and then some people are saying that the top 3 decks aren't as broken as people are making them out to be. They're not as consistent. Um, I will agree, Wind Up Loop is not as consistent as people make it out to be. In fact, first turn, I think it only has like a 17% chance of actually happening, and even then, a lot of times, all the opponent will have on the field after they do that is a Wind Up Zen Mighty and nothing else. You know, occasionally they'll have a Zen Mines on the field, and that's why the loop is problematic, because if they can drop your hand and then get old Zen Mines, it makes it very difficult to win. I will agree with that. The wind-up loop isn't as consistent as people make it out to be. It's still unfair, still bullshit. Hand dropping stuff I've always hated in this game because it's just so broken in this game because there's no resource system outside of the cards in your hand. To put it in comparison, our resource system in Yu-Gi-Oh is based off the cards in our hand and the cards on the field. Those are our resources. In Magic, the resources are based off of your mana, your land cards. In Magic, they very rarely make cards that destroy land cards, mana cards, because that's your resource. That's what you have to make your plays. So the wind-up loop would be the equivalent of Magic releasing a card, you know, maybe 3 and then a water mana or something like that, 4 cost, and destroy 3 or 4 land cards. That's basically the equivalent of what the wind-up loop is. It would literally decimate and make a deck and make it almost impossible to come back. That's what the wind-up loop does, and that's what a card like that in Magic would be like. So just to put comparisons, the wind-up loop is not fair. It should be hit. In regards to Insectors, I have an Insector deck. And believe me, even if I draw shit, I can still pull off a bullshit play and still win. And I feel shamed. And you want proof? I have the 3 Hornets right here. I have the deck list on YouTube. And yeah, I used to like the deck, and I like the fact that Konami finally released stuff for insects. But I don't like, I just don't like how they pulled this off. I mean, the deck you can plus you can plus 4 with with one card. One card. Since when is that balanced? Since when is that good for the game? I mean, and players say, "Oh, we'll adapt." Well, it's the same as saying, "Oh, if last turn came back, should we just adapt?" If Chaos Emperor Dragon comes back, should we just adapt for the format? No, of course not. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely stupid, and the people saying that are absolute idiots. And they're probably profiting off of this in some way, shape, or form. They probably have one of the big three decks, or they don't play competitively enough to actually have to go against fully built big three decks. Because I'll tell you from my experience in Dual Network and with people who have the deck fully built with everything in it, if you're not running one of the big three against them, you're going to lose. You are going to lose. There's almost no shot for you. And that's the truth. I mean, Six Sams, who knows? Maybe they might pull off a win here and there. They did get a smoke signal back, which helps. Maybe Light Swords and Twilight and Chaos Dragons, maybe, but probably not. And Dino Rabbit, what can I say? I mean, you turn a normal summon into a 2400 attack Solemn Judgment. Is that fair? No, of course not. You have to run normal decks. Is that really, is that cost of having to run normal monsters worth the massive advantage you get from summoning Lagia? It's not. Okay, simply put. So, yeah, Konami should have hit this deck, those decks. They didn't, and I understand, at least in regards to windups and sectors, that nothing in Order Chaos would get hit. I understand that, because it's a new set. But Photon Shockwave has been around for quite a while, and they could have still touched Rescue Rabbit, and they definitely could have touched Tour Guide. That's from Extreme Victory. And they have no excuse for leaving that card in the game. It's from the same damn set as Reborn Tengu, which they did hit. So it was not about new product. It was about money and profit, okay? The fact they didn't touch Tour Guide should have been enough evidence that they didn't care about balancing this game in the ban list. Alright? So they are in the wrong. The players are in the right in regards to their disdain for the list because they could have easily hit Tour Guide. They hit Reborn Tengu, which was from the same set and was a TCG exclusive and was just as detrimental to the game as actually less detrimental to the game as Tour Guide has been. Rescue Rabbit could again hit. I mean, Photon Shockwave is not that old, or not that new. I mean, it was been around for a while. It doesn't have a special edition. The most they can profit off of it from now on is through the tin or whatever, the holiday tin, and that comes out after the September list. So, anyways, in regards to Dino Rabbit, that deck is absolute BS. It's easy to run. A retard can run it. Okay, the three decks right now that are dominating meta are absolutely skillless crap. Plants were dominant for quite a while, but at least they took a good player and to run properly. They actually took skill to run because they had so many plays available, but if you didn't do the right play, you'd lose. If you didn't use the right resource at the right time, you'd lose. The deck wasn't just auto win, I do this, I win. You had to set up very properly, otherwise you failed. Now, you could argue that the deck's consistency kind of offset the whole skill thing a little bit, but I would rather play against 100 plant decks before I play against any more of the big three because they're just ridiculous. And I think I think the petition was right in what they did, and I think the YouTubers who are disagreeing or who are lashing out against us for signing it, I think they need to rethink what they were saying because a lot of them just absolutely make it no sense. Now they say, well, it's not going to do anything, so what's the point? Well, you can say that about a lot of petitions and a lot of protests and a lot of political movements. There are people saying, well, there's no point in fighting for workers' rights because nobody's going to care. Corporations have all the money and they can shut us down. Or you can say, go back to the 60s. Why stick up for civil rights? It's not going to do anything. Government's run by white people. Whatever the case may have been. I mean, I don't like to compare important historical events to Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's the same. Just if you don't try to do something, if you don't try to change the game for the better, nothing will become of this game. So, Necrofear 331 signing off.